Okay, here we go. Now we're officially recording. So everybody knows me. I'm Andrea, and good morning to Beth and Ronnie and Esther. And thanks for joining our Kripalu yoga class with the JCC. So this will be an almost hour-long class, and we'll have some 5 minutes at the end for some questions. And again, you can always send those questions off to Susan and an email, and she'll make sure I get them. She'll also save them in the chat. If you have a question, you can just type it in the chat, which is a little bubble below. Have my co-pilots today. Hopefully they'll cooperate. Our class will be a flow, and many of the postures will be on the floor with the support of the earth. Some of them will be standing. If you need a chair, if you're working with some balance challenges today, you can always have a chair nearby. And if anything that I offer doesn't feel good, you do not have to do it. You can do something completely different, or you can watch. So I'm going to trust that you know your bodies, you know what to do to keep yourself safe, since I can't see you. And make sure you have a clear area, even if you're not working with a yoga mat. I had a little reminder of that yesterday when I tripped on my blocks. So. Okay, so we're going to begin on our backs today. The warm-up we're going to do will include a bridge pose. So if you don't like doing bridge pose, then you can always come onto your belly and practice Sphinx Pose while we're doing bridge pose. Okay, so make sure he's not in the way. Okay. There we go. Okay, good. He's not in the way. All right, so we'll begin by drawing the left knee into the chest and begin to make some circles. Starting to wake up the areas where you're feeling sensation. I like to keep my other knee bent. This early in the morning, it does not feel comfortable to extend the leg, but by all means, if that feels good for you, you can extend your leg and then switch sides. You can make the circles as small or as big as you would like. And then draw both knees in and give them a little hug. If that doesn't feel good for you, you can always let your knees come to the sides. And again, if that doesn't feel good, then you can do something different. Okay, let's bring the legs down and the arms up overhead and wriggle side to side as if you were a little worm. Trying to create some length in the spine, a little gentle side stretch. Now, for this next stretch, which is an excellent reset for the back, you can use blocks. You do not have to. You can flow in and out of this stretch, or you can hold in stillness. So I will show you both ways. To flow in and out of it, you will be pinwheeling from one side to the other, and your torso will slightly move with you. So it's okay to let the shoulder come up. It's okay to let the torso move with you. You want to make sure there's no strain on the knees, no strain on the hips. Now, if you want to hold this in stillness, I find this to be an excellent reset for the back. So I put a block where my knees and my ankles are. And again, you don't have to use blocks. You could use pillows or cushions. And the knees come up to the chest, and then you rock to the side. So now you've got the support of your cushions or your blocks for your knees and your ankles. Now, if your shoulder that's down on the earth pops up, you can give it support by tucking a towel underneath there. So you'll notice a really good stretch for the spine, a really deep twist. And if this is too far, you can just stack some more pillows on the side so that you're not straining to hold your legs in the air. You're letting your legs rest with full support. And then you'll inhale through center and switch sides. So again, if this shoulder is dangling out in the air, you can give it a little support by placing something underneath it. You can rest your hand on your belly, or if it feels good, you can allow your arm to come out and let your gaze come out over that arm. If that's uncomfortable, you can keep your gaze straight up. See if you can hold this for 3 full inhales, as deep as you can make them, and full exhales. And when you're finished, inhale slowly back to center. And we'll come into a flowing bridge pose. So if bridge pose doesn't feel good for you, you'll come onto your belly and come into Sphinx Pose, which is the elbows and shoulders are stacked, fingers are spread, and your shoulders drop down and your chest lifts. So this is considered a back bend. It lengthens the muscles in the front of your chest and strengthens your back. It also lengthens the abdominals. So for bridge pose, the feet are about hip distance apart. And if it doesn't feel good, you can always bring the feet farther apart if hip distance isn't comfortable for you. You'll engage all your abdominals and keep your chin slightly pointing down. As you inhale, arms float up and your pubic bone presses up. Squeeze the legs together as if you're holding a block there. And then exhale, unravel the spine, 1 vertebra at a time as the arms come down. So we're inhaling into the back bend, squeeze the legs. And then exhale, unravel the spine, 1 vertebra at a time. Now, if flowing in and out of postures does not feel right for you, you can hold your postures in stillness, depending on what you're looking for. When you hold, your arms can be in any position that feels supportive for you. They could be overhead. You could wriggle your shoulders underneath you and interlace your fingers. And interlace your hands. So you're coming into yoga mudra and adding a little bit of a stretch there for the shoulders. And whenever your posture feels complete, slowly unravel 1 vertebra at a time. Now don't take a counter stretch yet, just take a moment to feel the effects of bridge pose. Setu Bandhasana. Notice if you feel any tingling, any warmth, any energetic sensations, or maybe nothing, and that's okay too. And then when you're ready, take a counter stretch, draw the knees into the chest. You can take 1 in at a time. Okay, and we're going to make our way onto our bellies. Now for the next stretches that we're going to be doing with the support of the floor, if you find it difficult to be doing your exercises on the floor, you can do these while you're standing. So for example, while we're on the floor, reaching 1 arm and then extending the other leg, you could practice these from a standing position. And you can step back with one leg and then reach the opposite arm up. And then step back with the opposite leg and reach the arm up. The more you are able to take your gaze up, the more of a back bend you'll bring to this stretch. Okay, so I want to give options to people. I know for me, getting up and down off the floor can be uncomfortable depending on what day it is and how I'm feeling that day. Okay, you can place your chin on the earth or your forehead. I prefer to use my forehead. Reach your arms out long overhead and reach your legs out long. See if you can wriggle from side to side, creating some length in your spine. If you need some extra padding for the bony areas of your body, you can put some extra padding there. And then engage all your abdominals and push your pubic triangle into the earth. Even though your belly's compressed, I want you to try to take a deep inhale and fill your lungs with air, and then lift the right arm and the left leg. You don't need to go very high. We're going for length, not necessarily height. And then slowly release. And then we'll switch sides. Just remember to take a deep inhale, engage your abdominals as if you're shrink wrapping them, and switch sides. Okay, let's repeat that again. Both sides. Inhale, lift the right arm and the left leg, sending your energy out through the fingertips and out through the toes. Now, if holding for 3 cycles of breath is too much, just hold for 1. If you need more, go for as many times as you would like, maybe 3 to 5. And switch sides. And release. Now bring your hands down by your sides, palms are down. We'll practice Locust Pose. Engage your abdominals, press the pubic triangle into the earth, and then lift just one leg. Press out through the toes. Again, try to lift so that there's no compression in the lower back. And then switch sides. You can even tuck your hands underneath you if that feels good. And then if that felt comfortable, now try it with both legs up. And release. Take a full inhale and full exhale. Now, to practice a version of boat, I'm going to have you keep your arms down by your sides. Take a deep inhale, engage your abdominals, press your pubic bone into the earth, and then lift your arms and your legs. Lift your chest, draw your shoulders back. Now, if there's too much compression in the lower back and this doesn't feel good, bring your shoulders down closer to the earth. Now, you have the option of bringing your arms out to the sides as if you're an airplane, or bringing them overhead. I don't like the way that feels. I feel like my back is not strong enough yet for that type of weight with my arms. So I prefer to keep my arms down by my sides, reaching out through my fingers, reaching out through my toes. And when you're ready, slowly lower down. Make a little cushion with your hands and gaze to one side. Bend your knees and release any pressure in the lower back. By windshield wipering the legs. And then turn your gaze to the other side. Beautiful. Now we'll make our way into a seated position. Make sure that your hips are higher than your knees. If you don't have a cushion or a block or something you can sit on, that's okay. Find a pillow or something. You could even roll up a beach towel so that the hips are up higher. So what you don't want to see is your knees hanging out in space. You're going to want to have the knees lower than the hips. Now, we don't have any men with us today, but I know for a lot of men, this is a really difficult posture. So you can use blocks to support. Okay. We're going to begin with some gentle seated twists. So inhale some length through the spine, and then allow one arm to come to the knee while the other arm comes to the back. Now this computer is mirroring me. So normally on my computer or in person, I tell you the opposite body part that I'm using so that it's the same body part for you. But this computer mirrors for us, right, hon?
That is what, that's not mirrored.
Oh, it's not?
Right now.
Okay, cool. So then I have my left arm here and my right arm behind me. Yeah, that's mirror teaching. Inhale through center, exhale, twist. So I say the opposite of what I'm actually doing. Inhale through center, exhale, twist. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. And last time. Okay, we're going to make some movements, rounding down, forward, back, and up. So I like to start with small movements, especially since I haven't been awake for very long. My body hasn't had a lot of movement yet. But if you're already feeling warmed up, you can make your circles bigger. You can add the shoulders in. Now, if you're sitting in a chair, you could do these from a seated position. So you should feel a stretch from your lower back all the way up to the shoulders and into the neck. And then let's switch directions. Okay, beautiful. All right, for our shoulder stretch, if you have a towel or a sweatshirt or a strap, we'll practice flossing our shoulders. Lots of different ways to warm up the shoulders. I like to use a strap. If you don't have a strap or a belt handy, like I said, you can use a towel, you can use a sweatshirt. So let me wrap my sweatshirt. This is very stretchy. Okay, so you can always use a sweatshirt, and you'll want your arms to be at a distance that's comfortable so there's no strain. Your arms will come down and then come on up. Now your hands will probably slide down, whoops. And then your arms can come down just as far as feels comfortable. You don't have to go down all the way. Inhale up, and then exhale down the front. I'm going to switch to my strap so that you can see my face. Okay, there we go. And then you come down, inhale up. Now, if you don't have a strap or a towel at home, you can always come into threading the needle. So if you have something, or even if you don't, you can imagine you have something. But if this just isn't working for you, you could practice threading the needle by coming onto your knees. Like this is how we normally practice it. And we normally press through with one arm and then come on back and then press through with the other arms. Now, I don't like to go down to the ground with my head. That's really uncomfortable for my neck. So you can practice this just by pressing through that way. So lots of different ways to warm up those shoulders. Okay, after a few rounds of these, you can switch sides. So one arm comes down behind you while the other arm comes up. Again, if you don't have anything with you, you can always just do these movements without a strap. Opposite arm comes down. Notice how my palm is facing away from me in the back and in the front. All right, beautiful. And that is called flossing your shoulders. Okay, the next stretch is Hashimotonasana. The legs are lengthened out. Now you can always take some rolled up blankets and put them underneath you so that there's no strain at all for the legs, for the knees and the hamstrings. The feet stay flexed to protect the knees and the hamstrings. Several ways to practice this. You can use a strap. Let your hinge come from the hip crease. It does not have to be a deep bend. Your head does not need to come down to your knees. The focus is letting go of tension in all parts of the body while lengthening the 3 hamstring muscles. You can also practice this using your hands and just sliding them down, resting them on the legs, or resting them on blocks. And then lastly, as long as you're not working with any shoulder injuries and you want to use your arms as a little bit of a traction or weight to get you down, you can reach the arms up, keep a slight bend to the knees as you fold down, and then draw the hands into the chest. If you like to add a bit of a flow, inhale, lengthen the spine, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, get long. Exhale, fold. And again, you can always practice this from a standing position by practicing forward folding, keeping your knees bent as much as you can. Beautiful. Now I wanted to show a way to stretch your legs using a chair. I'm going to use my little chaise here. Hey, cameraman, could you just lift the screen a tad? Make sure that everybody can see. Okay, so if you have a chair at home, you can practice every single day, just lifting one leg up onto the chair. If you aren't struggling with balance when you practice the stretch, you could always use the wall for support. You could always hug the knee a little bit higher. But this is enough, according to Lee Albert, a positional therapist. And then you would turn and do the same thing with the chin resting on your chair. So you'll feel a nice deep stretch from the knee all the way up here. So this is what Lee Albert recommends.
You said chin resting on the chair?
Did I say chin? Wow, interesting. Your foot resting on the chair. Okay, and then we'll switch sides. What's scary is I didn't even notice that. All right, this leg comes up.
Cooper's resting his chin on the chair.
Yes, his chin is on the chair. So if you are still working and you work in an office job where you're sitting a lot, this is something you could do every hour. You can take little yoga snack breaks. Okay, and then switch sides. So for me, this feels really good. I'm feeling sensation from the knee all the way up to my hip. Now, we're going to come back onto the earth and come onto our tummies, and we'll practice this stretch another way. If your arms are not long enough to reach your foot, then you can always use a strap. I like to use the straps with the little buckle and put it around the foot. If you don't have a strap and it's difficult to reach the foot, then you can practice using a chair like we just did, or you can just bend your leg and bring it as far as it comfortably comes. Okay. So the same hand reaches back to find the same foot. So if your hand reaches, you'll be using the hand to gently stretch this leg. Again, never forcing or tugging. The knee is pointing towards the bottom of the mat. If your arm isn't long enough to reach, that's where you can use the strap. And I remember doing this with you in class, Esther, at the JCC. So anybody could do this stretch. It's just a matter of, do you have the right props? You know, most of us, our arms are not long enough to reach our foot. If it's comfortable, you can just bend your leg like this. You don't have to use a strap. You can just bend it as far as it goes. If lying on your belly is not comfortable, and that's why I love to practice this using a chair. Just don't put your chin on the chair like I told you to. I wonder if that's because I gave up coffee a couple of weeks ago. Maybe my brain is slow to wake up. Okay. Next stretch is going to be bound angle or Badakanasana. Again, you're going to want your hips to be up just a little bit higher. I'm going to roll up my blanket just a little bit. And the feet do not need to come into the groin. Your feet can be out here. You can use blocks to offer support. And then you'll sit up tall, open the feet as if they are a book, and allow a deep stretch here. If you like movement, you can do little teeny tiny butterfly pulses. Beautiful. Okay. Draw one knee in and extend the other leg out. You can always use support here for the knee. You can always tuck a rolled blanket underneath here. And this foot stays flexed. You might want to move that T back. Now I'm speaking to my other yoga student over there. You can also use a strap for this stretch. Also use a block for support. So you will sit up nice and tall and then twist toward the opposite leg that is bent. And then slowly work your way down. So you can use a strap to help you come down to the side. If you don't have a strap, you could just rest your hand on your leg or a block and breathe into the side of the body where you're feeling this sensation. Now, sometimes you'll see people in this particular stretch with their ear down by the leg and the arm overhead. So if you're one of those people, then go for it. I'm not there yet, not even close. So this is my vista. This is where I like to visit. And then we'll switch sides. Again, keeping the foot flexed to protect the hamstrings and the knee. You can always tuck something underneath. Sit up nice and tall and twist toward the leg that's bent. And then allow your body to slowly start to slide down that extended leg. And then release tension anywhere that you might be holding. Maybe you're holding tension in the scalp, the forehead, the jaw. You don't have to go very far. Just breathe into the part of the body where you feel sensation. If you want to bring your arm up, you can. It's a really, really deep stretch. And your gaze can be wherever it feels supportive, down at your foot, straight ahead, or up toward your elbow crease. What was that? Beautiful. Okay. So for our next posture, you can practice this from a chair. You could sit in a chair and put your feet up on blocks, or you can practice it using the support of the earth. This is Garland Pose. Lots of different ways to practice this. If it's difficult for you to move your foot in this way, you can use a rolled up blanket to give you support. So again, you can practice this from a chair. So let's say you're in a chair, you could put some blocks on the earth and bring your legs up and just practice this nice stretch from a seated position. If you want to try it from the floor, it's nice to have something rolled up because then you can just step on it. If you're struggling with balance, you can always put blocks in front of you so that you can use those to bring the earth closer to you. So this is going to look different for everybody. So play with it until you have a comfortable position, and you shouldn't feel any pain in the knees or the ankles. I trust that nobody's recovering from recent foot surgery or anything. The hands come to heart center. Use your elbows to help draw the legs outward and bring your hands to heart center as you lift your chest and sit back. So I was told that people in lots of different countries, this is a regular position. And some people even wait for the bus in this position rather than standing. I should check that on Snopes and see if that's really true. So you hold for as long as feels comfortable. If you want to add some cardio, you could hold a block between your hands and add some cardio, or you could just hold in stillness. And when you're ready to come out, the easiest way is to come into tabletop. Okay. Let's sink back into child's pose. You can use a blanket or a pillow if you would like. If this is uncomfortable for you, child's pose can be done from your back. You just simply lie on your back and hug your knees to your chest. If it's difficult to bring your head to the earth, you could bring the earth to you with a pillow or a block or a few towels. And let go of any tension. You don't have to reach your arms long in front of you. That's puppy pose. Child's pose is a place of rest. And even if your spine doesn't sink down, your tailbone doesn't sink down to the earth, just imagine energetically your tailbone sinking down to the earth. And when you're ready, slowly come on up. Okay, for this next back bending posture, if you have cranky knees, you can use some support here. So I know in person at the JCC, I know we've practiced camel pose. You can use a block if that is helpful to you to help squeeze the legs together. You can keep your toes uncurled like I am here, or you can curl your toes. That'll get your heels up just a little bit higher. And then draw your shoulders forward, down, and back, and place your hands right here at the lower back. Now this can be your camel pose. This is a back bend. You'll engage your core and slightly press forward. So you can stay right here because this is enough. This is pretty intense. If you want to take your stretch a little bit further, you can try curling your toes. My knees are super cranky today. Make sure you keep all of these muscles engaged, and then perhaps one hand reaches back to find the foot. See how that might feel. And then slowly come on up. And then try the other side. Press forward, engage your core. Opposite hand finds the heel. So you'll feel a nice deep stretch here in the front of the legs. And then come on up. I'm not going to have us do full camel today. I find camel to be a really, really deep stretch, and I can't see what everybody's doing, so I want to make sure people are safe. If camel is part of your regular yoga practice and you can do it with both hands, then you can do that. But that's good enough for me right there. Okay. All right, our next stretch is log pose. So this might not feel comfortable for many people. So if it doesn't feel good, I want you to either watch or do something different. Okay. So for log pose, the easiest way to come into it is from tabletop. You can have a block to sit on or a cushion. I like to have a block. So we'll start from tabletop, and then we'll draw one knee forward and crisscross. Let me move my block. The feet will walk to the outer edges of the mat, and then you'll sit back on your block. So this, I know we've practiced back at the JCC once upon a time, feels like decades ago. This is a posture for cow face pose. But for log pose, we'll slowly inch out that bottom foot and then slowly bring this foot across. So it almost looks like you're stacking two pieces of wood, one upon the other. Now you can always use a prop to support the knee. So this is log pose. I suppose you could come into it from just a regular seated position, but for me, starting from tabletop, coming into the position like cow face pose, and then just sliding my legs out. And then we'll just practice a twist from here, lengthening the spine and then twisting to one side. Inhale through center, and then a slight fold forward. Be careful of the knee and hip. We don't want to go too far. For me, this is a pretty intense hip opener. Come on back to center. Inhale and twist. Exhale. Inhale through center. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Now, notice I'm not pushing on my knee. I'm just resting my hand here. And then exhale, twist. The gaze does not need to be over the shoulder. You can just go as far as feels comfortable. Inhale through center. Exhale, fold. So again, if this doesn't feel good for you, you can do something different. Maybe you want to practice a seated pigeon. So for example, if this is working for you, keep going. If it's not, you could practice a seated figure 4, which is like a pigeon version, where you would bring one foot up to the knee and practice sitting upright. You can use support here for the leg, or bring your hands behind you and then bend this leg. So that's also a pretty intense hip opener. And if you're just not feeling this in your back and your arms, you can always practice this the way we usually do, which is on our backs, using something to thread through so that you don't have to strain, so that you're letting your hip open without straining any of your muscles. So lots of options. I wanted to offer something new today. This is how we usually practice it. This is a variation. This is a variation, or you can come back to what we were doing. And now it's time to switch sides. So however you were practicing your hip opener. Okay, so I think I had my right leg on top before. Now I'll put my left leg on top. This foot walks out. Okay, so make sure there's no strain in the knee or the hip. Sit up nice and tall. Oopsie. Beautiful. Excellent. And then twist to one side and exhale. Inhale through center. Exhale, fold forward. Wow, what a difference on this side. So just notice without judgment how different one side of the body is from the other. Come on up to center. Inhale deeply. Exhale, twist to the side. Inhale through center. Exhale, fold forward. Ooh, we're going to stop right there. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale through center. Exhale, fold. Wow. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale through center. And exhale, twist. Beautiful. And when you're ready, release the legs. You can give them a little shake or a little side to side, anything that you need to do. You can even come into child's pose or a few rounds of cat-cow. It doesn't even have to be a yoga move. Any move that your body is calling for. Okay. So one more twist for today, and this is a twist that we have practiced together. Again, you'll want to offer just a little bit of support so that the hips can be up just a little bit higher. A couple of options here. You can keep one leg extended as the other knee comes into the chest and the foot steps over if that's available to you. You can stay right here. You want to feel your weight evenly connected with the earth. Sit up tall and your opposite arm hugs that leg toward your chest. Your other arm comes out in front of you as you slowly twist and the arm comes behind you. Again, your gaze does not have to be over the shoulder. If you're looking for a little bit more sensation, you can bend this leg, sit up nice and tall. Again, lots of options for the arms. I'm going to show you the way I like to practice this. You can, keep your arm like here. You can bring it down there. Lots of options, but this for me is the most comfortable. Now you can always practice these by coming in and out of the postures. So you could exhale, release, inhale, repeat. And then we'll switch sides. Okay, so the leg comes to the chest, the opposite side. Keep the foot flexed, sit up nice and tall, opposite arm. Am I repeating the same side? I am. It's just one of those days, folks. Sit up nice and tall, opposite arm comes around, we'll reach forward, and then arm comes back. So you'll notice a difference from one side to the other. And then come on back. Beautiful. All right, one last posture for today. This one is gate pose or Badakanasana. Okay. If you like to play with balance, we can add a little balance component. Okay, so your block will go on the opposite side of the extended leg. Now with the extended leg, the foot can be so that the toes are facing forward, off to the side, or your foot can be flexed. So you decide what feels good. These two bones are facing forward and there's a slight tuck to the pelvis. Okay, inhale, arms come up. And then exhale, the arm comes down to the extended leg as you fold to the side. Your gaze can be straight ahead, down at your foot, or up toward the elbow crease. So you decide what feels good, and then send the breath into the parts of the body where you're feeling sensation. And then when you're ready, switch sides. I like to use a block. Your hand might come all the way down to the earth. You can also come to the tips of the fingers and add a side stretch. Again, your gaze can be down at the ground, straight ahead or up to the crease of the elbow. And if you like to play with balance, you can lift your leg and then press out, reaching out long through the fingertips, reaching out long through the toes. And then whenever your posture feels complete, come on back and just pause and feel the effects of gate pose. And then we'll switch sides. Now, maybe this side, the feet want to be in a different position, so experiment whether the toes are forward, off to the side, or the foot is flexed. Tuck the pelvis, tuck the tailbone. These two bones are forward. Inhale, get long. And then exhale, same hand finds extended leg. Reach to the side. And just go as far as feels comfortable for your body. Taking your gaze either down to the foot, straight ahead, or up to the elbow crease. Send your breath into the parts of the body where you're feeling sensation. And then counter stretch. And it's okay if your foot changes to a different direction here. Maybe it toes point out to the side. If you want to play with balance, engage your core, lift the leg, and then press out through the hands, press out through the foot. Beautiful. And whenever your posture feels complete, use your core to draw you back up, and then just pause and notice the effects. All right, well, that's it, folks. We're going to end our recording. We did a lot of side stretching. We did a lot of twisting. So I hope you feel energized. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or I'll open up the mic.